In this lesson, we're going to make sure that you can expand and simplify complex expressions by using the distributive property and collecting like terms. So there's going to be no new concepts in this lesson. We're just going to practice all of the algebra skills that we've learned in grade 9 and grade 10. Since this lesson is just a review, if you feel comfortable with your algebra skills, what I would suggest is to try all of these questions on your own and check back in the video to make sure that you have the same answer. For those of you who know you have a little bit of trouble with algebra, stay with this video. So just a reminder about the distributive property. If we have some sort of term multiplying against a bracket filled with other terms, remember we have to distribute that outside term by multiplying it by everything inside of the bracket. So let's start off with A, just a basic knowledge question. Can you simplify this thing? Well, if you take a look in front of this bracket here, we just have a 1. And 1 times everything in this bracket is just going to keep all of these terms the same, because 1 times anything is just going to keep it the same. And then in front of this bracket, we also have a positive 1. And so everything in this bracket will stay the same as well. So we can rewrite it without brackets. So we have 4a cubed minus 9ab squared plus 6a squared b squared plus a cubed plus 5a squared b minus 4a squared b squared. Let's quickly collect like terms. So if we take a scan here, we have a 4a cubed and then a 1a cubed. Then we have a 6ab squared and a negative 4ab squared, and those are the only like terms. If you take a look at this is ab squared, and this one is a squared b, not the same. So we're going to add the like terms together. So this one is going to be 4a cubed plus a cubed. That's going to be 5a cubed. So we have equals 5a cubed. If we take a look at what we've highlighted in blue, we have 6a squared b squared minus 4a squared b squared. So it's going to be positive 2a squared b squared. And then we have our leftover terms, this guy here and this guy here. So we have minus 9ab squared plus 5a squared b. And that is as simplified as we can get. Let's take a look at the next simple example. So we have two brackets. Again, what's multiplying in front of this bracket is just a positive 1. So everything inside the bracket is going to remain the same when we multiply it. In front of this bracket, we actually have a negative 1 now. So that's a minus 1, which means that when we multiply negative 1 by all of these terms, they're going to turn into a term with the opposite sign. So let's just rewrite this first term, or this first bracket. So we have negative r squared plus 4rs plus s squared. We have negative 1 times 6r squared is negative 6r squared. Negative 1 times rs is minus rs. And negative 1 times negative 11s squared is positive 11s squared. And now we're just left to collect like terms. So we have a negative 1r squared here and a negative 6r squared here. We have a 4rs and a negative 1rs. And then we have a s squared plus an 11s squared. So if we collect the r's first, we have negative r squared minus 6r squared. That's going to be negative 7r squared. Then we have, let's try the s squareds. We have s squared plus 11s squared. That's going to be plus 12s squared. And then our blue guys, we have positive 4rs minus rs is going to be plus 3rs. And that's as simplified as we can get this expression. Let's keep on going. And remember, if you feel comfortable with algebra, try these on your own, pause the video, just check the end of the video and make sure that you get the same answer. So here we just have a simple monomial multiplying against a trinomial. So we got to make sure we multiply that negative 4g by everything in the brackets. So we have negative 4g minus negative 4g times positive 3g is going to be negative 12g squared. We have negative 4g times negative 3g squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 3 is going to make positive 12g to the power of 3. And we're done. All right, B, we have this monomial 3 being multiplied by this binomial 2x minus 5 that's raised to the power of 3. So of course, we can just do 2x to the power of 3 minus 5 to the power of 3, right? Does this seem normal? Hopefully you're screaming, no, we can't do that. That's absolutely not a mathematical property. We cannot distribute a squared, a cubed, a power of the 5. We cannot distribute an exponent into a binomial. So if you want to make me cry, that's the best way to do it. So we're going to change this up and we're going to write it out properly. So just think of what actually something to the power of 3 means. Well, if I have 5 to the power of 3, that just means 5 times 5 times 5. And if I have 7 to the power of 3, then it just means 7 times 7 times 7, which means that 2x minus 5 to the power of 3 is just 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 5. Okay, so my suggestion for multiplying these is do the 2 first binomials, and then you're going to do the next binomial, and then you'll bring in the 3. So not the only way to do it, this is just what I usually do just to make sure that we limit the mistakes. So really quickly, we're going to do 2x times 2x, that's going to be 4x squared, and then we have 2x times negative 5 is going to be negative 10x, negative 5 times 2x is going to be negative 10x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, not to forget this 2x minus 5. So let's simplify this bit here. So we have 4x squared minus 20x plus 25, all times 2x minus 5. And now we're going to multiply this trinomial and this binomial. So we're still going to use FOIL. So we're going to multiply 4x squared by this, move to the 20, multiply everything in this bracket by everything into this bracket. And then we'll deal with this 3 at the end. So we have 4x squared times 2x is going to be 8x cubed. 4x squared times negative 5 is negative 20x squared. Negative 20x times 2x is negative 40x squared. Negative 20x times negative 5 is going to be positive 100x. Then we have 25 times 2x is going to be plus 50x. And then 25 times negative 5 is going to be minus 125. And then we have an option. We can either distribute this 3 right away, or we can collect like terms within this bracket. I'm just going to simplify inside the bracket because we have a few x squared. So here we have negative 20x squared minus 40x squared. And then we have 2 x terms, 100x plus 50x. Let's just simplify that really quickly. So we have 8x to the power of 3. Minus 60x squared, negative 20 minus 40, plus 150x minus 125. And our last step is, of course, to multiply this monomial into this bracket in here. So we're going to multiply 3 by everything inside of it. So 3 times 8x cubed is going to be 24x cubed. 3 times negative 60 is negative 180x squared. 3 times 150x is going to be 450x. And then 3 times negative 125 is going to be negative 375. And that is as simplified as we can get because we've got no like terms left over. So if you haven't done so already, I really highly recommend pausing the video, trying this on your own, and checking to see if you get the right answer. If you don't, go back and rewatch how I work this video out. So try it on your own now. If you're checking your answer, we take a look. We are going to distribute these monomials into the binomials here. We know that there's really a minus 1 here. So our first monomial is going to be 5 times 3x is going to be 15x. 5 times negative 4y is going to be negative 20y. And then we have negative 1 times 2x is going to be negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 5y is going to be positive 5y. And then we have this plus 7 just hanging on for dear life. Our like terms, we've got 15x minus 2x. Then we have negative 20y and plus 5y. So we're going to be left with 13x. And then negative 20 plus 5. Remember, don't make that silly mistake and think this is 20 plus 5. This is negative 20 plus 5. That's going to be negative 15y. And don't forget about that plus 7. All right, let's try a trinomial times a trinomial. Can you do it? So we're going to multiply every single term in this bracket by every single term in this bracket. So we're going to start with the x squared. So we're going to multiply x squared by everything, then negative 2x by everything, and then 3 by everything. Here we go. Okay, so we've got x squared times 3x squared is going to be 3x to the power of 4. X squared times 2x is going to be positive 2x to the power of 3. Just in case it's not clear, I didn't make it clear before, but remember as a grade 10's concept, well really we learn exponent laws in grade 9. Anytime we're multiplying terms that have the same variable, we're going to add the exponent. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. Squared, that's basically, we have x to the power of 0, so 2 plus 0 is still x squared. So we have x squared times negative 1 is going to be negative x squared. And now we're going to multiply this guy by everything in this bracket. So we have negative 2x times 3x squared is going to be negative 6x to the power of 3. Negative 2x times positive 2x, negative 4x squared. The negative 2x times negative 1 is positive 2x. And last, we're going to multiply this 3 by everything in the bracket. And we have 3 times 3x squared is going to be plus 9x squared. 3 times 2x is going to be plus 6x. And then 3 times negative 1 is going to be minus 3. All right, collecting like terms time. We've got an x cubed here. We have another x cubed here. We have an x squared over here. And an x squared over here. And an x squared over here. And then we have a 2x and a positive 6x. So we've got no other term that has x to the power 4 in it. So now let's deal with the x cubed. 2 minus 6 is going to be negative 4, x to the power of 3. And then here we have our squareds now. We have negative 1 minus 4, that's going to be negative 5, plus 9, that's going to be positive 4. So we have positive 4x squared. And then we have 2x plus 6x, that's going to be plus 8x. And then we have minus 3. So hopefully this is starting to get repetitive for you and you're gaining confidence. And if you're there, please, if you haven't started doing this, please try these on your own and then just use the video as a tool to check your answer, and if you made a mistake, figure out where you made the mistake. So we've got some more distributive property to go. So we have this monomial times this binomial. So we're going to expand this guy. We're going to expand this guy 3 times and see what's left over. So really quickly, 10a times 2a squared, we're going to have 20a cubed. Then 10a times negative 3ab. Okay, so we've got to multiply the a's because those are the same variable. So we're going to add those exponents. So first of all, our coefficient is going to be negative 30 because 10 times 3, negative 3 is negative 30. Then we have a, and that's going to become a squared. And then we have a b just hanging on the end there. All right, the next one, we have negative 4b times a squared. Write in an alphabetical order, only so that it's easier to pull out like terms. So it's not wrong if you write ba squared, but it's really easy to tell because I wrote it this way that these two are like terms. See, they matchy. So negative 4b times a squared is going to be negative 4, then a squared, and then the b beside it. Next we have negative 4b times negative 7b squared. That's going to be positive 28, and then it's going to become b to the power of 3. Then we have negative 3 times negative 4b is going to be positive 12b. Let's look for those like terms. We have our a squared b, and that is it. So let's rewrite this thing as we have 20 a to the power of 3. We have minus 34 a squared b plus 28 b cubed plus 12b. All done. All right, so this one looks a little wacky, so let's break this one down. We've got a lot of brackets going on. We have 3y. We obviously know this is going to get expanded in here, but if there's anything I can do to simplify inside the brackets, it's going to make my life a lot easier. So taking a look inside here, I have brackets within brackets. So if I were to use bedmass here, obviously I don't do the subtraction first. I'm going to do the multiplication first. So first thing I'm going to do is work inside the bracket and distribute this y. We have the same sort of situation going on over here. Within this bracket, we're going to apply bedmass. We can't do the subtraction. We're instead going to do the multiplication. So before we expand these monomials on the outside, let's first make the inside as simple as possible. So we have on the left side, we have 3y inside the bracket, we have 1 minus y times y is going to be y squared. So we have negative y squared. Negative y times negative 3. So don't think this is y times negative 3. It's negative y times negative 3. So negative 1y. So negative 1 times negative 3 is going to be positive 3 and then y. In the other bracket, we have a similar situation. We have 2 minus y times y is negative y squared. And negative y times negative 4 is going to be positive 4y. Don't mess that up. Okay, now we can distribute these monomials on the outside because there's nothing left to do inside these brackets. So we're going to multiply the negative 3 times 1, and we're going to get 3y. 3y, sorry, not negative 3. I'm not sure what I said there. What I meant to say was 3y times 1 is 3y. Next, we're going to do 3y times negative y squared. That's going to be negative 3y cubed. And then we have 3y times 3y is going to be positive 9y squared. Okay, our next monomial, we have, of course, this lovely negative 1. And we're going to multiply that negative 1 by everything in the bracket. We've got negative 2 plus y squared, because negative 1 times negative is positive, minus 4y. We're collecting like terms, our favorite thing to do. We've got a y squared, we've got another y squared. We have a couple y's going on. Here's a y, here's a y. All right, so I'm going to put them in order of degrees here. So I'm going to write the negative, oh, let's do this in black. I'm going to write the negative 3y cubed first. And then let's add together our, so that's where I got that, just brought it down. Let's add together our y squared. So we have 9y squared plus y squared is going to be, oops, it's going to be 10y squared. Then we have our y's. We've got 3y minus 4y. That's going to be negative 1y or negative y. And then we have this minus 2 just chilling on the outside. We have no more like terms left to collect, and therefore we are done. We are on a roll, so keep going. Here we've got this. Binomial times a binomial. We're going to FOIL. Here, can we distribute this squared in? Absolutely not. We've got another binomial times a binomial. So let's expand this guy. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rewrite what this one actually looks like up here. So 2x minus 4. And then we've got 2x minus 4. Okay, so we're going to multiply that guy out. So here, let's FOIL. So try foiling on your own and then come back to see and make sure that you have the answer right. So if you FOIL correctly, you should have this trinomial, 6x squared minus x minus 2. And then this other trinomial, which is 4x squared minus 16x plus 16. Here's the question. Did you carry this negative down with a bracket in front or not? Because if you left it without a bracket, that's a very different question. That means that this negative only applies to this 4x squared. That's just not true. That negative 1 is going to multiply by everything inside this thing. And this thing is equivalent to this guy here. So you got to make sure you carry those brackets through. And now what we're left with is multiplying this monomial of negative 1 times everything in the bracket. And then we can start collecting like terms. So quickly, let's rewrite this as 6x squared minus x minus 2. And then we have negative 4x squared plus 16x minus 16. Collecting like terms, we've got a couple x squareds here. We've got a x, another x here, and then we have these constant terms. So collecting the x squareds first, we have 6x squared minus 4x squared, that's going to be 2x squared. Then we have negative 1x plus 16x is going to be plus 15x. Then we have negative 2 minus 16 is going to be negative 18. And that is our final simplified solution. In our next problem, we just have to slightly think a little bit more. So it's not saying simplify this, it's saying find the area of the shaded region. We're going to add in an extra instruction, which is and simplify, leave as a simplified expression. So instead of giving us the expression, we got to come up with the expression and then simplify it. So we have sort of like the picture frame problem we would have seen in grade 9, which is we're given the dimensions of the entire frame, we're given the dimensions of the picture, and how much wood or paint would it take to cover the entire just frame part. So we know we've got two different areas. We've got the large area, so that's, let's call that red. So we have this large area, we can call it area number 1. And then we have the smaller area inside here, and call that area number 2. And we know to find the shaded region, we just have to take area. So the area that we need is going to be the area 1 minus area 2. So we just got to find those two areas separately. So area 1 is the red one, and area 2 is the blue one. And we just got to figure out what's the big one minus the small one, and what we're left over with is the area of the shaded region. So let's find the area of the shaded region now. Now that we sort of have our idea that we know we're going to take the big area, subtract the smaller area, so let's come up with equations of these things. So our area is going to be equal to our area 1, and we know the area of a rectangle is length times width. So instead of length, we have 3x plus 1. Instead of width, we have x plus 4. So our first area is going to be 3x plus 1 times x plus 4. Then we're going to subtract the smaller area. In the smaller area, our length is x plus 2, and our width is x minus 2. Oops. Our width is x minus 2. So let's add that in. So we have minus our length, which is x plus 2, times x minus 2. Now we're just left to expand this and simplify. So if we FOIL 3x times everything inside of here, we're going to get 3x squared plus 12x plus x plus 4. Don't forget to copy that minus. And if we can expand this really quickly, we're going to have x squared. Then if you just visualize this, so we have x times x squared, then we have x times negative 2 is negative 2x. And then we have 2 times x is positive 2x. Those are going to end up canceling each other out, and we're just going to be left with 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. If you don't believe me, just expand that out the long way, but we're going to be left with that. That's just a difference of squares. So keep on simplifying inside the bracket. We've got 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. Now we don't actually need these brackets in front anymore because we have just a 1 multiplying against it. So everything in the bracket is going to stay the same. But we have a negative 1 multiplying against this bracket. So we've got to distribute that negative 1 in. And we're going to be left with minus x squared plus 4. So since we know these brackets are not actually useful to us, we can just start collecting like terms. So we have 2x squared terms, x squared and x squared. We've got 2 constant terms, 4 plus 4. So I'm just going to skip down here. We have our area is going to equal 3x squared minus x squared is going to be 2x squared. Then we have plus 13x, and then 4 plus 4 is 8. And that is the area of our shaded region.